All right, so we're going to talk about one of my favorite drills for acceleration sprints to not necessarily increase, because sometimes we will need to decrease someone's stride length, but usually increase someone's stride length when it comes to the initial acceleration, and that would be wicket run. So with wickets, if you have hurdles, great. You can use cones, really just any sort of object that you can step over is going to work great for this. But the whole purpose is to set them up in a way, in a distance to where you can control or dictate where the stride length should be. Now, all this is obviously dependent on if the mechanics are great. So if we come over to the wall real quick, what we want the mechanics to look like when you come out of a 2-point stance, really any start that you want to do, falling start, whatever it is we want to have this good forward lean, right? And we want the foot to be, it's called negative foot speed. You want to be driving back into the ground to project your hip and your chest going forward. So if we come back over the hurdles here, so this initial setup, and this is usually a pretty good rule of thumb for most anybody, is to go 2 shoes, put a hurdle down, okay, then 2.5, and then 3 shoes. So obviously you're gaining speed. That's why the distance between the hurdles is growing. And we want to be able to step over the first hurdle, because we don't want to do this choppy and then kind of go over through here. So you want to be able to get over the first hurdle and be able to drive back. Now, where, again, the technique becomes important is we don't just want to take big steps over the hurdle. Just because you do the drill doesn't mean you do it correctly. We want to make sure that we're getting the technique. So once you get good at the 2, 2.5, 3, then we can kind of go on to this is now 2.5, 3, 3.5. Again, that's not meaning that we're striding to get the distance. Okay, all that means is you've gotten stronger and you've gotten more efficient at the technique, and that is what is going to get us our distance over the hurdle. So this is probably going to be more so for the upper end high school, college type athlete that is strong enough to put enough force into the ground to cover the distance, or just the really proficient sprinters you have with the technique. So again, going back to the first one, okay, when doing this drill in general, you want to carry it out through 10 yards. We just put the hurdles at through the first 3 steps, 4 steps, because that's usually where the athlete lacks the most. But again, so you get set up in your nice 2-point stance. I'll just go 2-point, for example, here. Okay, and then you want to drive out, accelerate through 10. Okay, so again, once you master that, okay, once that becomes easy, and really a good way to kind of tell that is if you start really becoming, I guess, crunched up, or you feel kind of claustrophobic in this. So if you're starting to get, midway through to almost to the second one with your first step, and that's kind of getting really, really excessive. But if you're starting to get about halfway to the next one, you probably need to start thinking about advancing your hurdles a little bit farther into the next. That would be the 2.5, 3, 3.5. So again, if you're proficient with your technique, you get stronger, you're going to start to advance on these. And again, these usually are used for increasing stride length, but can be used to decrease it as well.